Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Retail with Purpose, Building Brands That Matter is the title of this session, and I'm really pleased to have Bob, Rose, and Liz. Bob's from Yarnstrong SISTA, Rose is from Clothing the Gaps, and Liz is from Aboriginal Retail Australia. And, well, before we go into, I suppose, the brands, Liz, why don't you tell us a little bit about Aboriginal Retail Australia and some of the work you're doing to help First Nations brands grow and scale?
Sure, Dylan, thanks. So Aboriginal Retail Australia started about 3 years ago, and it was born out of some frustrations with global financial crisis and all of that sort of stuff, but partly lack of visibility and capability in the retail sector. We've seen a lot of brands, there's a lot of Aboriginal retailers who are very small, side hustles, but equally some brands that are, bigger and have been around 20, 25 years. But one of the things that we weren't seeing a lot of was engagement in the retail sector and connections and that supply chain. So we created a not-for-profit to support those brands to scale and grow.
Amazing. And currently, sort of roughly how many brands are you working with currently, and what sort of support do you provide, and how do you sort of facilitate the day-to-day?
Well, it's early days, but we've got about 60 members at the moment, and we hope to grow that over time, and with support from sector and other areas, but. We're national based. We do a lot of sort of online, but at the moment it's about building networks. Coming to things like Retail Fest, getting people known, building that visibility, and the conversations around how we work with Aboriginal brands.
Amazing, Bob. Why don't you? It's a very striking headshot too. You look amazing. Mine was sort of partially generated with AI, but yours is all natural. You look great. Thank you. Why don't you give us a bit of a background into Yarnstrong SISTA?
Yarnstrong SISTA is an Aboriginal consulting institution. We produce product that caters for the early childhood sector. As you are all aware, within our community, the early childhood sector, that is kindergartens and preschools, is something that we have struggled with in the community. For example, myself, I never attended kindergarten because up in the Torres Strait, from the island, I'm from Saibai, in the early 1970s, we didn't have kindergartens. If somebody wanted to go to kindergarten, they would end up going to Thursday Island. And so there was those facilities were not there. I did radio school, and my teachers were my grandparents, because my parents had to come to the mainland for work. So based on that, we decided to create a company that catered for the early childhood sector, to publish books, to produce toys that reflect our culture, that is respectful, that reflects the community that we're from. I can recall one time when I was on an exchange program to the US, a certain gentleman, I was working at a hotel called Watergate. I was attending the university there, and being a student, this American family, they were a mother, father, and 2 kids. The gentleman asked me, "Where are you from? You have an accent." I said, "Well, I'm from Australia." And I asked him, "Have you been?" He said, "No." Then he said, "Do you still eat people?" This was in 1996.
Did he say, "Do you still eat people?"
Do you still eat people? So that kind of took me by surprise. And it was on a Sunday morning. The hotel was full. Now you probably know, you've heard of the Watergate Hotel. It's famous with Nixon. There were a lot of people in there. I said, frankly, I don't know what journal you read about us eating people, but I can tell you, your brothers and sisters in Hawaii ate Captain Cook. So, and he said, well, that's not possible. I said, well, when you go to Hawaii, go to Honolulu, find out. So this myth of us in the community being what we mainly wanted to do with the Armstrong SISTA is to produce product that reflects community, that is supported by our community elders, and to put it out there so that it's nicely used in nationally and within community.
Amazing. I'm glad you haven't eaten anyone recently. Neither have I, which is also good, and glad you're able to educate the Americans over there. Rose, let's talk about Clothing the Gaps for those who don't know. Obviously, it's a really purposely driven brand with strong messages. Why don't you give us a bit of background?
So hello, I'm Rose. I'm the marketing coordinator at Clothing the Gaps. My mum's also one of the co-founders. And Clothing the Gaps, we make merch with a message, and we run, like, we're a social enterprise, so we run national campaigns as well. We've helped free the flag. We're running a campaign at the moment to change the date of Australia Day, and all our merch, it's to spark conversations so people can, what am I trying to say? Sorry, this is my first time.
Doing a great job.
Thank you. Well, we make merch with a message, so when people wear it, like, they can go out into and have whole conversations. Like, if you're wearing a Not a Day to Celebrate t-shirt and you go, to your Australia Day family barbecue, it's your responsibility to then educate others, and we don't always have to hold those conversations.
Yeah, that's amazing. Both Yarnstrong SISTA, Clothing the Gaps, are deeply embedded with strong messages and strong storytelling. How important is it when creating a brand that you remain authentic to your roots, to your culture, to the storytelling, as a part of creating something that's more meaningful than just a product that people buy?
I can go first. So we always say we create everything with mob in our hearts and everyone in mind. So mob and community is at the root of what we do. And obviously we're a purpose-driven business. We started with a mission to help change and educate everyday Australians. So, like, purpose is within everything that we do, and yeah.
Amazing.
Our brand is based on community. It's based on creating something authentic. We make product overseas as well as here. Now, for example, we make product in Nepal, soft toys. These toys we make them through fair trade. Now, anyone we deal with overseas has to be, they have to be practiced at a fair trade environment, and also they have to be typically First Nations people. We publish books in China, but we went as far as finding who we can coordinate with. So we work with indigenous people from Hong Kong, for example. In Nepal, we work with indigenous people from Kathmandu. Now, Nepal has a class system. Based on that, we work with women that are a lower caste. We support them. We have taught. We have expanded our culture, and we kind of tell them what it is we are, and the Nepalese people have actually come to understand who First Nations people are. So we maintain that status quo. Whatever we do, it must be authentic, it must reflect culture, and it also absorbs the other cultures that we deal with. That is the main thing that we do. But also, we get blessings from our community elders. We have to maintain, and we have to be truthful about that. So there's no shortcuts to what we do, and that's why we've been in business for the last 25 years. We are, when we get delegates from overseas, for example, when Barack Obama came over during Tony Abbott's time, the Prime Minister's office did ask us to, if we had something that we could present, that could be a gift for the delegation in the US. That kind of trust has been out there for the last 25 years. And the last thing we want to do is not to be truthful towards that trust. And that's how we've maintained ourselves in business.
I think most Aboriginal brands will use culture and community as the foundation, whether they're retail brands or not. Yeah, I think that's the sort of special source of Aboriginal brands, but I think also Clothing Gaps then segments their product ranges to allies and mob, so that you can really get a sense of, you know, what is for community and what is for everyone else. And I think that was a really smart sort of move, and one of the sort of early generators of that way of selling culture. You know, because a lot of Aboriginal brands are very focused on only selling to Aboriginal people and creating products that we like, and maybe the niche is a little bit small. Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of, I mean, Rose, like Clothing the Gaps has some really strong messaging, whether it's, you know, through campaigns like Free the Flag, and are there points where you're wanting to remain authentic to your roots, to what you stand for, can hamper the growth of a business? And do you ever have to think, am I making the right business decision, or is authenticity at the core of what you do, and who follows you and who doesn't?
Yeah, like authenticity is always what we strive for. Like we want to be 100% transparent and always align with our values. It's just who we are as people. It's how we started. And even if, say, brands want to partner with us, like we did a recent collaboration with Lush, and they had Not a Day to Celebrate posters in every window, in every store. But like we'll ask people straight up, like, what are you going to do on Jan 26? Are you going to speak up? Are you going to stay silent? And are you going to support us, like when across the board, like holistically? But yeah, it's just what we do, who we are.
And in terms of, and Liz, maybe one for yourself as well, where does mainstream retail get it wrong at the moment in terms of partnering with Aboriginal brands or Indigenous brands, and where can some areas be improved on to incorporate culture and storytelling into mainstream retail?
I mean, I might give you a bit of an overview of what is a bee in my bonnet at the moment.
Yes, I want the bee in the bonnet. That's what we want.
But I think one of the challenges with engaging with purpose-led brands, which most Aboriginal brands are, is that sort of performative level of collaborations and collaborations with artists primarily. And you see a lot of big corporate retail brands producing their own Aboriginal style products by licensing artist work. And there's a little bit of a spectrum in terms of, you know, what the sort of purpose, but I always go back to those collaborations should have impact, and what impact are you driving by doing that? And is it just, you know, on the surface you're selling a pretty product and you've engaged with one artist, but what I say is you could be engaging with an Aboriginal business and buying their product, working and collaborating with them to help them build the scale, because what happens is when you license an artist to produce a new pair of boots for your brand, the impact is with one person, whereas if you engage with an Aboriginal business, that impact is threefold, triple-fold, whatever, in terms of the Aboriginal businesses, for the most part, have a supply chain of other Aboriginal businesses, but they also employ people. There's far greater impact in partnering with an Aboriginal business to do that. And that's one of the mistakes, is that really performative jumping into, you know, looking good as opposed to creating impact. And I think that's...
You're saying that people are virtue signalling by partnering with an artist to utilise their artwork and the culture to sell more products, as opposed to engaging with the communities that actually make the products to make a real difference, without taking words out of your mouth.
Essentially, it's the most minimal impact you could get, but there's so much more to realise out of those collaborations.
Let's talk about Australian culture on the global scale and the opportunity for us to share what a beautiful country we have with the world, and where some of the opportunities may be that you see to sort of further progress the stories of, Indigenous-based businesses, but also culture-led storytelling with some of the great brands that we have. We've got such a strong story, and where do you think some of the opportunities are, and where are we currently doing it well, and where can we improve on?
We did, during COVID, we did a fair amount of exports of our products to the US. We were working with Michigan State University in Lansing, and we did export some of our publications for the toddler books, which reflected Indigenous culture. And that was it was a real surprise for us that did happen. But, and people did, especially the early childhood sector in the US, got to know a fair bit of who we are, of what Australia is. But unfortunately, with the change of government at the moment, there's this title of DEI, where some reading material, for example, has been stopped.
Diversity, equality, inclusivity?
Yes, that. So with issues like that, spreading the word about Australia and the typically in the First Nations identity has kind of stopped. When we export our products, mainly people think of a didgeridoo, they think of dot painting. These are the major brands that, this is the idea that the international world looks at. But we do have a long way to go. When we thought we would be our products will be in Walmart, will be at JCPenney. This was our idea of having our product out there. We make soft toys that reflect, again, an Indigenous identity, but then again, all these things have come to an end. We do little exports to the UK because we have partners in the UK where we print some of our anti-bias books. For those of you who are not sure what anti-bias is in the education sector, it's embracing different cultures and having stories told within English and a different language for the communities that have come here from all over the world. So again, what we do in that case is some of our products have been, there's been conversion of a language of our national language here, and then converted to different languages, again reflecting who we are as Indigenous people. We have books that have got both English and Mandarin, books that Punjabi, Bengali, all these different languages, even some African languages, Ethiopian language, Nigerian language. So we have all these, and these communities have actually come to understand what First Nations is. And some of these books are pretty well received, and different LGs are taking on our product because of what we've done. But when it gets to being international, we have a long way to go.
I saw a story recently about there's a dialect of language which is only spoken by a couple of people, and now that there's a book which is a storytelling book that's helping to preserve the dialogue to teach to other students and things like that, which I thought was absolutely incredible. What about, let's talk about connection to customers and people buying from brands that they feel something strongly for and how they identify. And we've had a lot of conversations on this stage about community. Jade from LSKD is talking about how they've built their community, but it's more increasingly to me that people are wanting to buy from people that they feel a connection with. And obviously Clothing the Gaps does that really well. Talk about your connection to the customer and also, the obligation you feel like to, serve these people.
All our products come with an education piece. It comes with an action, whether it's to sign the campaign or to learn more. And like when we do like our top of funnel ads, like where it's education, so then they can come in, learn. You know, we always say people start with a pin and they move to a t-shirt as they get more comfortable in wearing the messages, like learning more and talking more. And we also have lots of educational resources on our website, so they're not just buying products, they're learning. And we're also doing a thing, or we've done it a few times, but like a digital download. So it's like a free digital download of like our Not a Day to Celebrate campaign or our NAIDOC poster. And they're free, so people can jump on the website, get it, download it, and then display it. And it also displays a campaign, but it also shows they can learn more, and it puts it up into a space where other people can learn more. And that's also an entry point for people to come into the business. And then I was trying to like look at the sales we're doing, like I think some people have like downloaded the No Day to Celebrate poster 6,000 times, so that's 6,000 customers.
It's amazing.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And 6,000 posters.
It's cool. That's awesome.
What I find is a lot of the members who have shop fronts, the challenge for them is that it becomes a community hub,
Yep.
particularly where there's no other alternative in a town, and so people come in for conversation and to talk about those messages, not so much necessarily the product, but it's that building of community in a retail store. And an interesting sort of sense around how you build community, but how you create a store that engages and activates that outside of just selling product.
Yeah. Liz and I were talking about this, about just representation of Indigenous people within all aspects of retail and e-commerce. And I didn't want a session to just be, well, here's some Indigenous-based businesses that we're doing things. It just needs to be great people doing great business things. And I think there still needs to be education to showcase, the talent that is within, the community, but also getting a broader representation across all parts of retail to make sure that we're not just saying this is an Indigenous-based business, we're supporting this particular cause. It's just great people in the industry doing good things, because there are so many great and talented people. And obviously for you, Liz, that's a part of the messaging about helping brands to tell their stories, grow their product portfolios, but also move up the ranks and start to change things from the top down.
I went over to Pacific Fair yesterday, and I looked around and I thought, actually, there's such a missed opportunity here, because while people tell that purpose-driven story on social media, they don't really do it that well in store. And I was walking through some of the retailers and thinking, this is so soulless, that a lot of the purpose that they might do in the back end or behind the scenes or say on social media is not prevalent in store. And that's what I missed from, going in there.
For people in the room today, I suppose, we were talking about how to, potentially engage with, communities to build products so it's not just a one-off thing. What are some of the tangible things that people can do today when wanting to support or build a purpose-driven brand that they can implement tomorrow in their business, or how they can help a First Nations business, with their store, their storefront, or how they work with them?
I think purpose is like not a second thing. It always has to be first. It's your priority, and there is room for purpose-driven businesses like us, and even like Homey. They're great examples of purpose-driven businesses doing good things, and social enterprises doing good things, and still being profitable. And yeah, just shop from Aboriginal businesses, learn more, educate your circles. That's where you can start.
One of the things we've done with the Armstrong SISTA is to reflect community needs. Now, what we've found that Australian community really likes an Indigenous organization that gives back to community, that reflects what community is, and that's how we've been supported. For example, we've come up with a scholarship program with Deakin University. Some of our profits go towards supporting our young sisters who are interested in studying, say, accounting and becoming CPAs or CAs, chartered accountants. So based on that, on purposely looking at our community and supporting our community, the Australian community in general has embraced us because of that. So it's not, I'm not going to deny, we are profit driven. There's no question about it. We want to compete with the likes of modern teaching aids, education experience. We compete with them, and there's no excuse not to compete with them. But we give back to community, and community actually checks to find out if we actually have a scholarship program. We sponsor two sisters. At the moment, they are going towards the CPA program. And community actually wants to, they actually try to find out if that's true or not. Some of them contact Deakin University in Melbourne. This is what we do. And this is pretty important for us, that we are not just profit-driven, we look after community, and the support the general public provides us goes towards those types of needs that we put out there in community. So that's pretty important. And that's how community has embraced us to keep us in business for the last 25 years.
There's nothing wrong with making money, Bob.
I'm an accountant, I'm profit-driven, but that's how we work. But also, 15 or 20% of what we do goes towards community.
That's amazing. Okay, what about like an aha moment where you're like, holy shit, this person's wearing our stuff, or they're supporting us, or even a moment where you've seen something that you've done make a real difference in a community? Is there like the first time that you were like, oh my God, this is real?
Yes, we had a young lady that ended up working for the United Nations in Mexico and Guatemala. She works for the UNHCR, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. So based on on the sponsorship we provided her, she's ended up working for the United Nations. And that makes us really proud that we have an ambassador that has gone out there, an Indigenous young person from Yundamu, of all places, to go overseas and do something like that. And this ambassador is actually talking about Indigenous culture, Australian First Nations culture. So this makes us pretty proud that that has happened. We're not sure if this person will come back from Latin America, wherever she is, but this is a special achievement for us. How many Australians work for the United Nations, especially an Indigenous one? We have a lot of Australians that go and work for UNHCR, we are UNDP, they are in New York, but to typically find an Indigenous young person from such a far place, Yundamun in Northern Territory, about 500-600 miles from Alice Springs, and going out there and being an ambassador of Indigenous people here, it's fulfilling for us.
That's awesome. We've got a few minutes to go, but the Olympics are coming up in 2032. What a great time and a great opportunity to showcase Australian culture, brands, retail, identities. What do you hope to see in the next 6 years to get us from where we are now to where we need to be, and what are some of the things that we can do as an industry to help support, and where are the opportunities that we can really make sure we put our best foot forward in 2032?
I think reimagining the state of play, that in big brands, I know it's challenging with procurement and getting the time to do that, but thinking about how you can go on the journey with Aboriginal brands to help them to scale so that they can be part of your supply chain, and that that's looking at different ways to collaborate. Get them on shelves, look at sort of categories. And I went to the US a few years ago, and Target was doing a program where end they had specific categories of black brands that, you know, that they champion. And a whole lot was happening in, you know, retail expos with black-owned pavilions and all of that sort of stuff. And I think we need to have those conversations as to what is going to change the needle, because what we're doing at the moment is not working. And I think both Aboriginal brands and the sector need to sort of move together.
And that all starts with a conversation, doesn't it? And Rose, you are very good at starting conversations with Clothing the Gaps.
Yeah.
Is there one thing from each of you, you know, before we go, that you want to talk about in terms of, you know, where, you know, part of where the brand is now, or any exciting opportunities that you guys have coming up, or, you know, new causes or people that you're looking to partner with or support? You know, what's happening in the next sort of 6 to 12 months for you guys?
6 to 12 months. Well, like, at the end of the day, we're a business too, so we're also trying to grow our e-commerce as well. So, you know, because we're purpose-driven, like, we want to do that work, but we also have to be sustainable, sell the t-shirts, make the money. But yeah, we're hoping to, you know, change the date of Australia Day. Our petition has we have 2 petitions. The Australian Long Weekend has over 50,000 signatures, and our Not a Day to Celebrate campaign has over 100,000 signatures, which is incredible. So yeah, hopefully that work goes somewhere. We've been doing it for 6 years now. You know, we've helped free the flag. We've seen change actually happen through the merch that we sell. So hopefully we can do it.
Conversation never hurts anyone, does it?
Yeah.
Bob, what about yourself?
What I would like us to do to see is, for example, the state of Queensland is to take on what we call a baby bundle program. In Victoria, we have a baby bundle program where some of our product, where new families with a new baby, the first baby, the state government gives a gift to the family. That we are participating in that. And surprisingly, we did participate in that program in England during COVID. We did export some products there as well. So there are things that we can do nationally like that, where the state of Queensland will come on board, New South Wales on board with that, with WA and Northern Territory, to put our products out there, our brand out there, so that we truly get what it takes, especially when it comes to Indigenous knowledge and culture. Producing books that young people, babies would identify. My son went to the zoo and he came back, he said, I saw this animal with a big beard, a lion with a long neck. I said, well, did you see anything else? He said, what are you talking about? These were nice animals. So the identity, the DNA of animals of Australia were just behind him. He just loved the lion and the giraffe. So we are trying to get beyond that and get to the DNA of Australia, get to what Australia really is, instead of our young people growing up thinking that the lion with the lovely looking beard is the best animal in the world.
Blue is the best animal in the world. We all know that. Dog. And Liz, you want to close us off with any message?
I mean, for Aboriginal Retail Australia, I think, you know, we're looking to build corporate partnerships.
Yep.
And build that, because one of our main aims is to build a bespoke procurement platform so that retail buyers can go on and buy directly from Aboriginal businesses without all the friction and without having to, you know, search 30, 40 different companies, that they can get it all in one place.
Amazing. I'm going to be like the worst manager in every company and say we've finished 27 seconds early, and I'm going to give you some time back in your calendar. So, no, I really appreciate it, Liz, Bob, Rose. It's been a really interesting conversation. I think the message I take from this is have a conversation, educate and support you know, First Nations and help people in their journey to, you know, to learn and scale and grow. And I really appreciate you being here, and thanks for your contribution.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Cheers. I think that's the last session for the day, and I think it's happy hour time, so let's go get a margarita, potentially. Let's see how we go. Thank you very much.